Call the meeting to order. Let's pledge the flag first, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Remain standing for 1 second and say a little prayer for the people of California. Thank you. And remember, the red, white, and blue. America's colors. Okay, roll call.
Okay, roll call. Mr. Siebold.
Present.
Ms. King.
Present.
Ms. Gunchin.
Present.
Mr. Dawson.
Present.
And Mr. Johnson.
Present.
And we do have a quorum.
Thank you. Next item on the agenda is election of officers. I'll open that up. Where do you want to start, with chairman first, or you the other way around? Make any difference?
I'd like to open with the chair, and
Okay.
I'd like to nominate Jeffrey Johnson as chair.
Anybody else? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Don't you dare. Okay. Next, vice chair.
I'll nominate Ed Dawson.
Ed Dawson. Anybody else? Call for a vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Approval of the minutes. Do we have a motion for that?
So moved?
Second.
Second Dawson. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Anything under old business?
Chairman, just to make sure, do you need to appoint a secretary? Have we done that in the past?
I think we do.
Don't forget me.
So we would nominate.
I just want to make sure we
you.
didn't miss something. If
Correct.
you'd like to nominate me.
Well, either you or Lucky. Amy Francis, correct?
That's right.
We have a nomination for Amy as secretary. Mr. Dawson, you want to nominate her?
Oh, I'd like to nominate Amy Francis for secretary.
Very good. I think it's an appointed thing. Do we have to vote, Art, or?
Go ahead.
Okay.
Yeah.
All those in favor of, well, is there any opposition to Amy Francis? Thank you. You don't want it.
No, I'm kidding. Of course I.
All those in favor of Amy Francis as secretary of the zoning board?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Congratulations.
Well, thank you so much.
Okay, I'll turn it over to you. Appeals to be heard.
Okay. We will go to appeal number 13316 by Binder Singh. Please apologize if I did script that name. Concerning a property located at 1064 West 5th Street. Parcel index is 17-4032-226. This is located in an R2 medium-density residential zoning district. The appellant is requesting a use variance for a proposed convenience store. Per section 204.3 of the ordinance, convenience store is not a permitted use. If you guys would like to come up and present your case.
Is the stenographer with us? Amy? Yes. Will she swear them in, or? She will. Okay.
Thank you so much for being here. I'll have them get sworn in. If you'd like to check out the screen.
Raise your right hand.
Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to provide will be the truth, whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
And before you
Okay,
speak,
and
I'm sorry.
just make sure to speak into the mic, because I could barely hear you.
How about now?
I can hear you now.
Test.
Thank you.
Good.
All right, before your testimony, your name and address, please.
Okay. Andrew Chinicadiotti, 338 West 9th,
You want to spell the last name?
Chinikidi.
How many times you had to do that in your life?
I didn't use it till after I was out of high school.
All right, proceed.
Yes. But, yeah, the property in question there that we want, it used to be a restaurant, Chuck and Jenny's. And I was a previous owner, and Bender owns it now, and I think it'd be a good use for the property. It's kind of a food desert there. You'd have to go quite a ways if you wanted anything. Bender already has 4 stores. This will be the 5th store in Erie, which will give them better buying power, and he can serve the community better. He has Melody Dairy Bar. He has another one at, he has, where the old Melody Dairy Bar was, he has one at 8th and Chestnut, one at about
4 and Chestnut,
4th and Chestnut, and he has another one,
624 and
624 West 8th. So this
What's
will
your-
be, he'll be able to cover the whole west side with groceries, kind of.
What's the trade name of the stores?
What's the trade name?
trade. I have the all different name.
Every store has a different name,
Okay.
but he tries
Some
to,
the Big B Shine, some the Big B, and some the Big B Melody.
We're gonna need him to swear.
We did. Yeah, both of them.
you have to tell him who you are.
I'm Binder Singh.
Can you spell your name? I'm sorry, I can barely hear
B.
you.
Okay. Binder Singh Singh.
You get that?
It is on the agenda if you need it.
Okay, you want to tell us about what you're going to do there?
He's going to sell groceries, pop.
Grocery pop. Try to fresh vegetables. Bring whatever the community need that area.
What's the hardship?
Right now, well, it being a restaurant, we can't open a store there. But I think it's a food desert in that area. Like I said earlier, I think you have to go quite a ways to, if you needed something to get groceries.
What's the hardship for the property?
Well, don't understand the question.
Okay. So the criteria for granting a use variance is that there has to be an unnecessary hardship caused by the unique.
I'm sorry, I can't hear anything that you're saying at all.
That's okay. Let me try this now. The criteria for granting a use variance are that there is an unnecessary hardship created by the unique physical conditions of the property. Physical conditions include irregularity, narrowness, shallowness of a lot size or shape, or exceptional topographical or other physical conditions that are not created by the provisions of the zoning ordinance. Because of the physical circumstances or conditions, there is no possibility that the property can be developed in strict conformity with the provisions of the zoning ordinance, and that the authorization of a variance is needed to enable the reasonable use of the property. That such unnecessary hardship has not been created by the applicant, and that the variance, if authorized, will not alter the essential character of the neighborhood, nor substantially or permanently impair the appropriate use of the property, and that it represents the minimum variance that will afford relief and will represent the least modification possible of the regulation at issue. Okay? So I understand the argument that it's a food desert. Right? Do you know how close the nearest convenience store is to that property?
I don't think so. Around
Less than a mile.
more than mile.
Well,
I think so.
4th and Cherry, probably.
Yeah.
And you've got the Country Fair over on 6th Street, and you've got a CVS close by.
No, country.
There is a CVS close by.
CVS, yeah. But the country fair on Bayfront,
Right?
yeah.
That's only about a mile away.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's been for lease for sale or for lease for a restaurant for 10 years. Nobody's interested in using it. So if this property gets developed, you know, it would definitely increase the tax value of the property. And it would be good for the neighborhood, but it's been for lease for 10 years or longer to redevelop into a restaurant.
I think what Art was trying to tell you, Andy, is you have to have a hardship.
Right.
And it's really got to have something to do with the property or the lot size, correct?
Right.
Yeah.
It can't be a financial
Right.
problem or lack of, somebody's not selling
Right.
bread on the corner.
Right.
So,
Can I borrow this for a second?
I'd like to ask, in terms of clarification on the hardship, the property was zoned, it's used for a restaurant?
So it was a restaurant a long time ago, right? It's currently R2, and even, I guess, even going back with the records that we have, even going back to 1941, the use of a restaurant as a restaurant at that point in time was a non-conforming use, okay? So it was kind of grandfathered in as a non-conforming use in the 40s and then in the 60s and things like that, and that really never changed. So the R2 medium-density residential district permitted uses are accessory dwelling, accessory uses and structures, adult daycare, bed and breakfast, cemetery, church, community garage, essential services, family child care home, fire stations, funeral homes, group care home, group home, home occupations, market garden, personal care boarding homes for adults, planned residential development, neighborhood centers, off-street parking, one-family dwellings, parks and playground, rooming boarding homes, short-term rental, 3- and 4-car dwellings, townhouse, 2-family dwellings, urban garden, urban utility substations. And then special exceptions are schools, small wind energy systems, and wireless communication facilities. So it would be a challenge right now to market it as a restaurant even, because it's been, how long since Chuck and Ginny's closed?
Probably 15 years or
Yeah,
more.
so, I mean, that non-conforming use has been abandoned at this point in time. But there are other things that it could be used for. It would just take time and money for people to go in and develop it within the zoning ordinance. And that's really one of the questions here for you guys to answer is, do you think that the fact that it was built as a restaurant, used as a restaurant, and is currently configured as a restaurant would create that type of a hardship, right, for the property? And is that type of a hardship going to be addressed by using it as a convenience store? Because it's not like you're going to walk into an old restaurant and turn the key and poof, it's a convenience store. There's still a lot that has to go into that. So it's not that the only potential use for it is as a convenience store. Any use for it's going to require time, effort, and money.
do you have sit-down tables to
No,
serve food?
No, at this time, it's totally gutted from front to back.
There's no kitchen equipment or anything
There's
left
not
in it?
one piece of kitchen equipment in there.
So
Right.
what would stop somebody from developing it in a fashion that conforms with the zoning ordinance?
I think originally when the building was used, and originally, I believe it was probably a convenience store. And then they made it a restaurant.
They didn't have convenience stores back in the 1940s.
They had Farrell's, they would have been
They
like
had groceries.
grocery store,
Yeah.
like he's trying to bring it back to. But I think originally it was a grocery store, because when I bought the building, it had windows that were as big as that Seal of Incorporated sign. And they made it a restaurant. What they did was just frame the windows down to this big and that big, and left the big window in the wall. So originally, it was probably a store. And then the family, the Serafini family, made that a restaurant. But I think original use on it was a corner market. Because every corner of the city, we had red and whites, because you didn't have grocery stores back then, big grocery stores. I'm almost positive it was originally a grocery store.
And plans for the upstairs would be
The upstairs is rented as an apartment.
currently?
Yeah, and if we do move forward, we're using Michael Grab as an architect to build the building to code.
I'm sorry, I can't hear what you're asking.
If the building was zoned as it currently is, and it was a non-conforming use, and for 10 years, it hasn't been used, and I thought that that non-conforming use goes away if you don't use it in the first year or two.
Yeah.
Okay, so that non-conforming use is
It's gone, yeah. So the non-conforming use, as far as our records go, is as a restaurant. So that non-conforming use, like I said, it's been clearly abandoned at this point in time. So there basically is no current non-conforming use approved for that property.
And does the property need non-conforming use to be utilized?
Well, that's the question, right?
That is the question.
And if the property is gutted at this point in time, I mean, basically it's a shell. So of course you've got the apartment up top, but the rest of the building is just open. I mean, somebody could go in and set that up as an apartment. And that wouldn't necessarily be, that wouldn't be a non-conforming use. That would be something within the zoning ordinance.
I thought I heard that Andy also, you were the owner, so you've been the owner?
I used to be the owner, Bender's the
No?
owner now.
He's now the owner?
Yes.
Okay. And you've owned it for how long? No.
He bought
Andy.
it last year.
Yeah, last year.
And so for the last 10 or 15 years, you were the owner?
Yes, I was.
Okay, just wanted to.
Yeah, I totally redid the outside, put a new roof on it. I got it in halfway, good condition.
Okay.
Andy, the spot we're in, we'd like to help you, but when there's no hardship, it would be monumental for us to grant what you want to do. So you can ask us to vote on it, or you can withdraw and see you another day.
Okay.
It doesn't look like we're going to get it. I said, do you want to withdraw today and try to get some?
You try today?
Well, they're probably not going to give it to us because they're going to vote on it, but they can't see how they can make it a store with all their rules.
But no store around there.
Well,
I asked so many people around there. They live single mother there. They say, "Oh, please, it's better if you bring store here." So before I want to take from the Andy, I check around there, asking people, "Hey, you like to? I can open store, grocery store there." They say yes, because there a lot of single mother live there. And they asking, hey, when you coming to open that store? They can, some people, they don't have the car to drive to country fair. They don't have car to drive to the other store, like 1 mile.
The difficulty for us is we're held to those specific criteria.
Yeah, they have to follow the law that they have because they have their rules.
If we were able to vote whether or not we thought it was a good idea,
Right.
perhaps the outcome would be different. We're
Right.
held to those specific criteria, and if you cannot articulate how you meet those criteria, there's no choice for us.
Okay, why don't we withdraw for now and see if we could seek some counsel?
Do you want to withdraw?
I would think so at this point because it doesn't look like we're going to get the vote that we want. I think it'd be better to withdraw at this point.
Up to you.
Well,
You're asking for that, to withdraw it?
Yes.
I think so, because I think if we come back, we might find a hardship. I don't know if we can or not, but.
Well, and again, this board doesn't set the zoning ordinance,
I understand.
right? City council does. We just have to follow it, and if we're going to make changes from it, we've got to follow the criteria that are established by the state, unless we want to be in a situation where somebody who is unhappy with the decision comes in, files an appeal, we have to go through court, end up going down to Harrisburg to argue there, and then come back with directions that no, you couldn't grant the variance because there was no hardship.
I totally understand.
Okay.
So with that said, you're
I think
asking
that's
us,
it.
do you want to withdraw?
I believe we want to withdraw at this point.
Well, it would have to, I mean, Mr. Singh, you're the owner, you're the applicant.
Yes,
Do you want to withdraw?
yes.
Tom wants to say something. Tom.
Tom has a comment.
So I have a question for maybe Jake, because you're in on planning meetings a lot. Is there any discussions they have sort of on the radar for things like this? Because I know in some of my discussions with Chuck and things like that, walkability, food deserts, those are all issues they're trying to address from a planning perspective. So is there anything on your radar that you know of where there's even thinking about changing this for this type of neighborhood?
Well, the city's currently undertaking a land character analysis where we're looking at all the existing land use throughout the city, and that will identify properties such as this, for instance, not necessarily specifically because this is an abandoned non-conforming use, but there are obviously several other areas of the city where you've got corner stores in residential neighborhoods, residentially zoned neighborhoods. And there probably will be some thought given to creating some nodes within those neighborhoods, maybe overlay districts where you have corners of commercial nodes within the residential districts, because there's certainly plenty of them out there now. So once that analysis is done and we kind of quantify that, it's entirely possible that one of the options would be to amend the zoning map to create those overlay districts.
Thanks. So my suggestion to you guys would be to keep that on your radar, talk to whatever city councilman you're comfortable talking to, and then maybe even attend a planning board meeting and talk about the things that you're bringing up here, that it's a food desert, it would be a good use of that property, all of that stuff. I'm all for it, but as everybody else is saying, we can't make law. We can just interpret it and go that route.
So when's a mixed planning board meeting?
That'll be next Tuesday at 1 o'clock.
Next
Okay.
Tuesday?
Okay.
Next Tuesday at 1 o'clock. All right, we'll come back.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Eddie.
I had a point of clarification. You also received a letter. Does the letter get received?
That letter came shortly before the hearing today, that email that I gave you guys.
Okay.
So, and I actually have the email, and I'll go ahead and we can submit it as part of the record.
That's what I was.
Even though
Thank you.
it, the appeal was withdrawn, we can still submit this. And it was an email from Gretchen Kerr and that's Kerr, at Our West Bayfront. And she had asked that because she was unable to attend the board hearing scheduled for today and had just learned about the appeal, she had asked that the matter be paused until neighbor feedback could be collected, and indicated it would be helpful for neighbors to know more details about the proposed business and the requested reuse of the property. But I think that that's moot at this point in time, given that the appeal has been withdrawn. Certainly, that's something that her organization can take up on their own.
We always recommend talking to the neighborhood associations and whatnot to try to get the support of, see what they're looking for. She's a really good person to talk to, and I can get her contact information.
His store is right next door to her office.
Oh, okay, wonderful.
Yeah, so you can go talk to her.
Great, yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Anything else? Good of the order. Well,
Motion to adjourn.
motion to adjourn,
So be it.
seconded by Mr. Dawson. Thank you. Happy
We're
New
adjourned.
Year.
Thank you.
Thank you, board.
Art, you have something to say? No. And remember the most important thing this weekend. Oh, good.
Are you all good at Sergeant's?
Yeah, did you send, you said that you sent the agenda?
It should have come through from Jake Welsh. I'm having trouble with my